like video game podcasting convention, and therefore Bo has just made a doctrine for us. But
But it
whatever,
looks good when you visit the
I'm
site.
wrong.
It's nice to see the video thing. Like
Whatever.
I don't
Bo's
know.
the most successful of
Yeah,
us
and we have some people that
podcasting
watch.
wise. He definitely should be calling the shots on what we do.
I feel like Crofton's saying that because he agrees, but the second he disagrees, he'd be like, he thinks he knows stuff because he does podcast, like he doesn't know what he's
It's
talking
true.
about.
I
But I'm
noticed.
happy
I
to have you
noticed.
on my side for this. For this
I
one.
noticed that he changed on what was it on Facebook? Or works at Frog Pants Studios.
It doesn't say
Now,
that,
yeah, it does say that.
does it?
I checked. Yeah.
Well, I'm a
You changed it.
podcaster there.
You mean your unpaid internship?
I'm a podcaster at Good Bad or Bullshit and Frog Pants Studios.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I do.
at Frog, it's like podcaster at Frog Pants Studios. It sounds like because when you're podcaster at the name of a podcast, it sounds like okay, but when you're at part of a studio, you're part of the studio system now,
I
Bo.
know. The problem is we don't have like a studio that Good Bad or Bullshit belongs to. And exclamation mark.
We don't need one.
We should.
We should
Our
call it Bo's apartment studio.
No. We should call it Good Bad Productions.
Or just bullshit
We
production.
need to produce something else.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
we can.
don't.
We can. It can be one thing.
It's
you
true.
know?
That's just redundant.
Yeah. No, but it adds a level of gravitas.
That way I can say I'm a podcaster at Bullshit Studios.
At Good Bad or Bullshit Productions.
I mean, if something has a Facebook page, you know it's legitimate, right?
20th century bullshit.
All right, let's get ready to record an episode. All right, because we're getting late here. I'm actually just going to turn this up a touch so that, hey, we record a bit louder. You're not going to hear it louder on your end. I'm just turning up the gain a little bit on my side. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hello, everyone. Good, Bad, or Bullshit episode 172 starts recording in 5, 4. Hello, and welcome to the Good, Bad, or Bullshit podcast. 3 guys, unlimited opinion, the podcast where debate is the foundation of higher conversation.
Conversation, Bo. It's conversation.
Oh yeah, conversation is the debate of higher learning. Joining me today, as always, is my good friend Michael Hodgins. Mike, hello. How's it going?
Always correcting Bo from the sidelines. Hello.
Hello.
Bo.
And also joining us, as always, you know him, you love him. It's Crofton Steers. Give it up for the Croftaholic himself.
Hello, Bo. How are you all today? Hello, listeners.
All right.
Oh, Crofton, obviously you're successful at that new job at the funeral home.
I just look. I know you're wondering why is he not as exuberant as usual, and there's good reason for that. The reason that I'm copying Mike's intro style of speech is because I have a toddler sleeping upstairs, and I have to be very quiet so as not to wake her. Now, you would think for normal mortals, this would stop them from doing the podcast altogether, but I am confident that I will be able to maintain the level of volume of my voice for the duration of this show.
Well, if I have one skill, it's infuriating Crofton Steers, so I'm sure I'll get that volume up before this ship has sailed.
I wish that this podcast had a throttle button.
I like how
If
this
only.
show's gonna have like a last longer bet. Like which one of you two is going to raise their voice first? Because you know you're slinging mud at Crofton, but he's not the only one with a little toddler sleeping.
Yeah, right next door, and he can escape his prison, otherwise known as a crib, now, and that is a problem. But hopefully he stays in bed.
Well, now that you refer to it as a prison, I'm secretly rooting for the escape. You understand?
Well, I'm actually proud of his jailbreaks lately. He got out after his nap, and he came downstairs, and he was like, "Hello, Dada," and I was like, "Oh, good for you."
That allows you to feel confident about his future abilities to problem solve, and
I just have
maybe he'll be an engineer.
The mental image of Mike being like, oh, geez, he's gotten out of the prison. I'm going to have to do better. So he puts him in a sleep sack. He escapes the sleep sack, escapes the prison. So he takes duct tape, puts it around the sleep sack, puts a couple of locks on it, like Harry Houdini style, and then he's like downstairs watching TV
The
with the
milk jug.
wife, and then Ivan walks down the stairs, and you're like, holy shit, my son
He's
is an
good.
escape artist. Yeah,
Well, the worst
impressive.
part was I heard him wake up from his nap, but I had just sat down from doing some tasks around the house, and I was like, "Oh!" And then he woke up and was like, kind of crying, and I was like, "I'm not ready." So I want him to sleep longer, so I just sat on my ass, and then he got out of bed anyways, and I was like, "Well, can't win that anymore."
My
Hey,
daughter has yet to escape her cage.
yeah, yeah, be thankful for that. Um, it is the fall time, as you guys are no doubt aware.
The
Yes.
shittiest month of the year.
No, well, November is October is lovely, but
Oh yeah,
November.
but we are not in October. We are, as soon as Halloween happens, we are into shit town all the way until mid-December, where Christmas and the first snow comes and all that, and people get excited. But the beginning of December and all of November, garbage.
Yeah, I mean, well, the first day, I think it was the first day of November, or anyways, a day or two ago, it was beautiful. I was 14 degrees. I went for a kayak ride in the river here, and it was like lovely. And then it turned garbage right after that.
Yeah, garbage.
But
Suicides way up.
all I was gonna say. So I grow a beard every fall, and I'm getting that age now where every time it comes in, I am more aware of how much gray there is in my beard. Like pretty much my whole chin now is white old man beard. So it's kind of interesting. Every year, the age is creeping up on me. You just
Yeah,
mentioned before the show, Crofton, that it was like your 20-year high school reunion, and I'm like, man, that's old. We're old people now.
I know. I know. I agree. November's garbage.
You're living in the present. I'm like,
No, no, you're right. You're right. I'm starting to look into like ergonomic stuff because I've been slouching and my back hurts, and like I may have this delightful baby face that all the ladies love, but I have also, some physical ailments that
back
come with
pain.
age. Yeah, back
How
pain.
about you, Bo? Has age taken its toll on you yet?
Not so much. I get weird
He
little.
smokes too. He should have the body of a 50-year-old.
I'm actually pretty okay. The most notable thing that happened to me was I actually got to put that I have 15 years of experience on something on a CV today, because I am applying for this thing.
Ass scratching,
Yeah,
Uh,
what was it?
nose picking.
Surfing the internet.
Dealing with clients, customer service, and interacting with clients. Doing that for a long time.
Damn.
I'm pretty good at it. It turns out. I guess if you do anything for 15 years, you get the ability to interact with people. And big surprise that maybe we do a show and we interact with one another, and it's pleasant. And some
But
people
you know what, Bo?
enjoy
I
it.
bet you were not bad at it 14 years ago, and some people will do that for 20 years and still not really be good at it.
Great way to take the one thing I have away from me. Fucking
Yeah,
No,
That's
I
asshole.
gave you credit for it. It was
You're like,
innate.
yeah, Bo, you were good at it 14 years ago, but you kept going because you're such a fucking idiot. Thanks,
Yeah, you
Mike.
just didn't get better at anything else.
No. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I really, I enjoy interacting with people I like. I don't enjoy interacting with people. You get, depending on the type of work you do. And listen, I've worked in complaints, in telecom complaints. I don't want to
Ooh.
talk to any of those people, really. Like, let's be honest. They're calling to complain. Like, the last thing, everyone's got a hard life. Everyone's got things they'd like to be upset about. Imagine working in a place where people make a mountain out of a molehill, which is like, $50 overcharge on their bill or something. It takes skill and patience and stuff.
I believe it. Speaking of complaining, should we get to a random topic?
November's complete garbage.
Yeah, you didn't like the weather today. It was pretty rainy. All right, well, Mike, you get that set up. I think you should. How are we gonna do this? Doesn't Ivan? Is he gonna wake up?
Whatever. Some things take priority.
All right. Well, I'm
Well-
glad you make the show a priority. It's real good. So let's get
Don't
it
worry, I
started.
got the exhaust vented outside.
All right, there it goes. You're going.
Ooh.
One of the things I really enjoy about Mike doing this is sometimes he'll pull it and keep talking and forget that he has to cough. It's kind Well, you're hilarious.
Well, I'm getting
Mike.
used to it. I'm getting accustomed to the fumes.
You can take a lot more of it before it triggers them.
Yeah.
Like November triggers me. Fuck, I hate November. Keep going.
Croft and Steers, Bo Schwartz, are you ready to come on down? Because the topic today is game shows.
Yes.
That's sweet. It's
Can
kind
I
of like the show is a game show right now.
That was not incidentally, that wasn't Jeopardy. Or else it would be like, he is a career public servant who has interest in video games and television watching.
Ding,
Croft
ding,
and
ding.
Steers.
Who is Croft and Steers?
And
well
he
done.
has 15 years in customer service and enjoys spending time on the internet. Bo Schwartz. That would be the Jeopardy intro.
Did you
Yeah,
guys see that
it's
Alex
funny,
Trebek thing, by the way?
because the Alex Trebek joke where he calls that girl
Yeah,
nerdy.
Mike, did you see it?
Yeah, we were
That was
yeah.
amazing. Except also, I'm upset at
So
Alex.
yes, I did the more like Price is Right, intro.
I like disclaimer time. I have always wanted to be on a game show. I thought it.
No way.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
Yeah.
You on
Yeah,
a game?
yeah.
Never,
I think
never in
it'd
a
be-
million years imagined you'd want to do something like that.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And then like when I was a kid, I always wanted to be on Wheel of Fortune because
Ooh.
it looked super
at that?
easy.
It
Um,
looked easy.
Yeah, it looked really, really easy. I don't know if you
it's
ever watched
easy
Wheel of
until you
Fortune.
spin the wheel and get the bankrupt. And
No,
then
but
you're like,
that's
"Oh, damn."
total luck. But like
Well,
I'd
yeah.
often guess what the words are well before anybody there, and they'd guess dumb shit, and I'm like, man, I'm smarter than all these people. But then I'd be watching Jeopardy, which aired back to back, and Jeopardy was always like the intimidating show where I would watch that and be like, oh man, I don't want to be on this show, because it would always be these ridiculous categories. But then I saw that episode of Cheers. I'm not sure if you guys saw this episode where Cliff what's Cliff's last name?
Cliff Clavin.
Clavin, yeah, goes on Jeopardy, and all the topics are like U.S. Postal Service, fears of the world, all this sort of stuff that is just like, and he just cleans house. And I recognize that, like, depending on the topics that you draw, could be not bad. And now when I watch Jeopardy, I know a lot of the answers, especially at the lower levels, and I feel super smart about myself. Now
Forgetting the 100.
yeah, now I'm like, man, I could be on Jeopardy. So yeah, I've always sort of wanted to do it. And I know in terms of game show involvement that we have, Bo does this podcast with his BFF Scott Johnson, where he hi Scott, where he hosts a game, sort of a mini game show type segment.
True.
And
I'm known as
How does that
Goraz
go there,
Trebek
Bo?
on there, and our
Bo?
show's called Hello. Hello, am I muted? Why? What happened?
well, apparently we've lost Bo here, folks.
Um,
That's all right.
Time to just pause.
We will pause. Too bad. I could have moved on to Mike and stuff. We could have switched it up, but I put Bo on the
But
spot.
Bo would have to edit. Yeah, anyways.
He lost. We lost all Bo.
hello,
That's
hello,
funny.
hello.
Usually it's just a mute, but
Yeah, sounds like he's muted. It's gone. That's too bad. I've been volume of my voice.
Hello, am I back?
Do-do-do.
Hello, hello. Am I
Mm,
back?
sorry.
Am I back?
No, Bo. Still zero. Like zero. Not even a small smidgen of sound.
Yeah, something's
I
going
guess your
on.
lips moving.
Something is going on here.
And
All
so,
Chapter 1.
Testing.
Where it all
Hello,
began.
hello, hello,
Bo,
hello.
come back, please.
Hello, hello, hello,
I was born October
Hello?
3rd, 1979.
hello.
Any autobiography that starts like this is creatively bankrupt. Keep going.
In the Civic Hospital in Ottawa. So far, it's 100% accurate. I was
Hey.
taken to my home. a
Gwen
few
was born
days-
in the
oh,
Civic
in an echo.
Hospital. You and Gwen were born in the same hospital.
It's the best hospital to be born on. Pity the fool who's born.
I was born in. Starts with a D. It's no longer exists. The hospital is closed down.
Testing,
Testing.
testing, testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Born,
Yeah.
we're
We
like, okay,
hear
we're
you
not
now.
going to do any better
So
than
Bose,
this.
you're back.
I'm back. It
Yeah.
stopped recording and everything. My whole audio chain died.
Really?
The last
How
thing I
far
got. Can you hear this?
stories? But then I saw that episode of Cheers. I'm not sure if you guys saw this episode.
That's the last.
Okay. Yeah.
Fuck. What happened there? That's never happened
It's
before.
too bad. That's a bad spot for it to cut because of I'm in mid conversation.
Yeah, it just
So
dried. That's
so-
why I didn't even notice. I started talking and I looked and I'm like, ah. All right. Give it a second whirl. That is very.
I can start. I'll start over. What I'll do is I'll start that over when episode of I talk Cheers. about I'm how not I sure always if you wanted guys to be saw on a this game show. We'll just and then we can edit and we can go there from the beginning of that segment.
From the beginning of which? Sorry, the Cheers thing.
Yeah, but even before that, I say I always wanted to be on a game show. Blah blah blah
That's
blah blah.
there though, isn't it?
Flavor
Or no?
time. I have always wanted to be on a game show. I thought it.
No way.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
Yeah.
You on
Yeah,
a game?
yeah.
Never,
I think
never in a
it'd be-
million years imagined you'd want to do something like that. Yeah, we've done the game show bit. So I don't know if you want to retell the Cliff Clavin thing or not. Or...
Well, I do, but where do I start?
I just start at. Remember that episode of Cheers where Cliff like just start from there.
All right, fine, I'll do that.
I mean, we don't
It's gonna
have to. We don't have to pretend. I could just resume it and say, "Sorry, we dropped some stuff. We're picking up where we left off." Like that, we can
So
do that.
unprofessional.
Maybe we should just do that. Make
Yeah,
it easier
I
for
don't.
Bo.
I don't think this is a case of like someone went there. It's really mid conversation and the moment's gone. I think we're just
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right. Resuming the recording. And it's not recording. There we go. Hey, and we're back. Our call dropped. Actually, it was all on my computer. The audio just kind of it's like that game show where you get an answer wrong and you fall into the stage or something. Is it Gong Show? I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Is there a game show like that?
It's like some show where you die.
Just some kind of sounds like a
Recall.
Japanese
Running
game show.
Man. Running Man. It's the Running Man. Right? Running Man is a fictional
That's
game
true.
show.
It's a fictional show.
I effectively died, and so did the audio. So we missed a pretty awesome part of conversation of the show, and we're just gonna pick it up where we left off. Kind of.
I was talking about wanting to be on game shows, and I talked about Wheel of Fortune and how I wanted to be on that when I was a kid. But Jeopardy, as an adult, like it scared me as a kid. But I'm not sure if you guys remember that episode of Cheers with Cliff Clavin goes on, and all the categories are like postal service, beers of the world, all that sort of thing, and he just cleans the board. And I thought to myself, man, if I got the right categories, I could clean up. And now I'm older, I watch Jeopardy, and I get a lot of the questions, especially at the $100 and $200 level, and I'm like, man, I'm pretty smart. So I think that now that I'm older, I think, man, I'd love to be on Jeopardy, but I realize that's never going to happen because I never try. And of the three of us, there's only one of us who's actively hosting a game show segment right now. And I'm thinking about Bo on that show he does with Scott Johnson on video games. He does his own segment. It's like a game show.
Yeah.
Bo, how do you like that?
It's called Nexepardy. Have you listened to it at all?
Sort of, little bits, but
sounded
I
to
don't
me like
understand
it's
anything.
sort of a spoof, though. It's what it
Yeah,
seems.
I mean, we're ripping off Jeopardy, and it's just Nexus-related questions, and there's loot boxes and talents, and we're going to be updating it.
For anyone who doesn't play the game you're into, that's going to sound like total gibberish.
Yeah, but it's just a
Because when
lot
you
of...
say that to me, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's just a lot of fun. Like, it's just, anyways, but the point of the game show is that it is entertaining on some level to see people. The games themselves are entertaining, but game shows in particular, because I think they're designed to be viewable. Like, I think if you have a game show that no one's interested in watching on it, like you have no audience, it's not fun. Whereas like you can play Monopoly and you don't need an audience to enjoy a game of Monopoly with your friends. But a game show needs to be as much a show. So like Shakespeare's production might be a show. A game show has to be a show. There's showmanship.
Like, are they entertaining? I mean, I've watched a lot of game shows.
I watched a lot of them, and they're terrible. Why did you watch so much?
No, they are. Okay, first of all, we talked
It must
about
be good if you watched a lot of them.
basically named, well, okay, so there's the primetime ones.
Yeah.
There's probably more than just those two. There was that one that was on, so Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, which have been on forever, back to back in that 7 to 8 block. There was that other one, remember the one with the Regis Philbin?
Who Wants
that one
to Be
had
a
good
Millionaire?
run for a while.
Who Wants to Be a
Yeah, so
Millionaire?
that one had some prime time appeal for a little while. But the other end of it is daytime game shows, which there are a lot of, and I think of like Family Feud, The Price is Right, and being that I spent a lot of time in my younger 20s, sort of bumming around writing and stuff. Often I was just at home midday and I'd be like, oh, I'll turn the TV on. So I watched a lot of these. Or remember Bumper Stumpers? God, that's a terrible. It's like a game
that
show.
was a Canadian game show,
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, that just shows you how bad it was. But it was on for years and it was awful. It was about like license plate puzzles. It was, and you watch these things. Family Feud is generally not, and I mean, again, so you said they're entertaining, but are they really? And now I had nothing. I would just be bored, so I would watch them. And watching Bob Barker, talk to someone as they guess the price of products, uh, even if there's a little plinky thing going down, or like the games are so pointless, it just. I don't even. I've just questioned. Is it entertaining? I don't think that it is.
I think it is in one of, like, there's two types of game shows that I think of, and one is entertaining to me and one is kind of annoying. The ones that have longevity and that I think are entertaining are the ones in which the viewers play it at home. So I talked about Wheel of Fortune and how I'd solved the puzzles before, or I talk about Jeopardy, the question comes up, and by the time people buzz in, like, you can say to somebody on the couch, oh, what is this or that? Or like you guess it. And so you're playing the game along with the people. And I like those ones a lot. Even The Price of Right is kind of like that. Like, you can guess what the price of something is.
$1.39,
but
Bob.
I think it's true. I think
$1.39.
it's true of a lot of the good ones. Like, what about Deal or No Deal? That had its day in the sun.
This is the other thing, Bo, and I'm glad you mentioned Deal or No Deal.
Deal or No Deal. Howie Mandel.
The other type of show, so the one, there's the you can play along show,
Yeah,
and then there's the artificially building of suspense type show. And Deal of No or No Deal is the perfect example, because you can't really play along with that at home. All it is like choose a case, and it's an artificial suspense. And Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, while I like the concept of asking the questions and you can play along, the reason that show was so popular is because it mixed the playing along element with the suspense element, where they would play, they play the music, and music is a huge part of these shows. They play the music, and then Regis says, is that your final answer? And it takes forever, and you're like, for Christ's sake, just tell me what the answer is, or whatever. And so they know what they're doing. They're playing with the emotions of the viewing audience as well as the person playing the game. Those shows drive me nuts.
That's part of a modern sensibility about incorporating the tenets of reality TV into game shows, because it's not present in pre-reality TV. Like Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune have still managed to stay the same from a production design perspective. There's no artificial building of suspense necessary, right? Like, I think the games might still be good. I think it's probably the production around it, the decision to do the show that way. Does that make sense?
Well, the daytime ones too. It's not like they've upped their. And I'm just assuming these things are still running. Like The Price is Right. In fact, my wife just recently went and took my mom and my aunt to a Price is Right live traveling show, where you could, in theory, be a contestant. Crofton, you could have lived out your dream at the TD place here over at Lansdowne Park. It was a big deal.
Come on down. I would like to bet one, Bob.
It wasn't with Drew Carey. No, it was with some other
like a touring show.
Yeah, I know. It's like
lame.
I don't know what the catch grab, I guess you call it.
Well, I mean, it's like.
But yeah, so these things,
Pink Floyd,
are still around. They've done up the production value. It's like, in some ways, I bet you the reason they.
Hello. Okay, stop right there. I'm putting a little mark. Everyone was really out of sync that time. Did you hear that, Crofton?
I only found Mike out of sync. I followed you.
Yeah, okay. It was Crofton. There was Mike that was out of sync.
It could be, and I'm farther from my Wi-Fi, so this whole day is a bit of a test for me in this room.
All right, let's continue on. Just can you re-grab your thought, and we'll keep going because you're all caught up now. It's just you paused, so I started talking, and then you unpaused, and you weren't really unpaused. It was that it like backed up your text, and then you started saying a bunch of crap, and I was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Oh, all right."
So aren't you live streamers glad you're watching it on the live stream?
Yeah, you get to see all the warts and all. Some people like the warts. There's people that don't like the warts. There's some people like, ooh, give me the warts. Give me the bow warts.
Right. Okay. So.
All right. One countdown. Here we go.
So I feel like part of the appeal for these shows existing and why they can mostly maintain this kind of like low budget. Well, that's exactly it. Low budget. They're easy to produce. You can get people in. It's pretty easy to get product placement, sort of advertising things. Or especially the daytime ones. And Price is Right is like the key one I think of is like it exists as an advertisement tool. Like it's like Clorox. How much does that cost? It's like come on, that's what it is. And I mean some of them are less less obviously like that. But I think they're cheap to put on. They're easy. They're cheap product. They're cheap TV, but I feel like that's what I'm getting when I watch it too. Like so, it's nothing of value. And it's funny. I would just for the record, I almost want to take Jeopardy and put it aside as a almost completely different one, just because every time I watch it, I do feel like I'm learning something. Playing along, but like the other ones.
I find Family Feud. Family Feud might be my favorite in the sense
like
that you get
statistics.
I know, but it's still
it's like
it's curious to see what the what people are, what they think about any given topic.
Keep in mind that it's their own polls. Yeah, like it's their own polls. Like so, it's not like you can't. Those things aren't accurate. It's just like how many people out of 100 that we asked said whatever. Like
yeah, but still, it's still kind of interesting asking 100 people and then you see top 3 answers on the board. I find that kind of interesting. Look, the thing I agree. Jeopardy is probably it's got the longevity, it's got the gravitas or whatever. It's the one that us highfalutin liberal East Coasters, like the most. But and yeah. Let's face it, for the most part, game shows are not appointment viewing for most people. Like if you have your grade A TV, your Game of Thrones, if you will, then like they're like grade C TV, that after the dramas and the comedies on the main cable, and then you've got like the Judge, they're above the Judge Judys and the Jerry Springers, but like they're not, to the level of scripted entertainment. But at one point in history, like the 50s, 60s, and like there's the Robert Redford movie Quiz Show that was sort of an expose of some of the scandals that came out of that time. But quiz shows and game shows were hot, like really big, and partly due to the affordability, partly due to the novelty, and so I think that like we're at the time period where we're inundated with choice, and maybe they're at a lower, level of popularity than they've ever been previously. So I guess like they had their moment in the sun, but to me it feels like they're losing steam.
Yeah, I do feel that there was a shift, but I feel like that's where Millionaire came in, and that's where Deal or No Deal comes in, and like Amazing Race, like can we consider that a game show? Like because they're just upping the ante, but it's still a competition, and it's still something like, and they're all edited, so you can't even say one's live versus one isn't.
I would, I know it's cop out a bit because Survivor's the same way. They're playing a game. Technically, it is a show about a game, but it pioneered the whole term, the reality TV term. Yeah. And I think about it quite a bit differently than I would a show like Wheel of Fortune and stuff.
I feel like if it's outdoors, it doesn't count as a game show. Like you can't like as a game show rule, it has to be in a studio.
But I would say the key difference there is that often when you're watching Amazing Race or Survivor, there is games, but generally it's the personality conflicts which make it more like reality TV. But these other game shows, there's not personality conflicts. There's just You sit, you
No.
stand in your slot, and you answer questions.
And it's a reason which kind of got taken over by all the daytime talk shows. It's a reason to have celebrities on. You guys remember Win, Lose, or Draw?
Yeah, I was just thinking about win, lose, or draw when we were talking
Yeah,
about
that's
it.
also another. I mean, when I loved watching that one, I'd be like, "Oh, it's the guy from Star Trek," and "Oh, it's this actor. I know who
Is
this
that
is."
is that the one where it had the super B-list celebrities in a big cube?
No, Win, Lose, or Draw was like two couches and you draw. It was like
It's
Pictionary.
Pictionary, like
Oh,
sort of
there
thing.
was. Oh, yes, I do remember that. Man, that's a lame game show. But do you remember this other that other one I was talking
Yeah,
about where it's like super B-list? Chris Valanche was always on it. The guy
Hollywood
is
Squares, you
terrible.
mean?
Like getting.
it's Hollywood Squares. That's what he's referring to.
Yes, maybe
Yeah,
it's that. Yes,
yeah,
Yeah, I remember Hollywood Squares, and like Bruce Valanche was always like
that's
center
awful.
square or something like that, and you had and Whoopi Goldberg and all that. Yeah, I mean there are different levels of the shows, but one thing I would say is like if you're setting Jeopardy aside, then I'd almost set the Price is Right aside as like the most sort of corporate shilly one, even though that Wheel of Fortune is pretty corporate shilly as well. But there's a lot of them like that are just like about playing some sort of game like Win, Lose, or Draw or Family Feud and all that. And I think like we've talked on this show about like violence in entertainment and media and drama and all that sort of thing. And there's something innocuous about game shows in the sense that I grew up watching them with my family, not all the time, but like I have distinct memories of like Bo mentioned Win, Lose, or Draw. I remember watching that with them and stuff like that. So I do think that in terms of finding a positive, it's a show. Depending on the show, like you feel like you can watch it with your kids. They might play along. Like I remember playing along Wheel of Fortune and my parents being proud when I could solve a puzzle or whatever and that sort of thing. So I mean that it is not really that corrosive of an entertainment if you disregard the massive advertising on some of the shows.
yeah. Man,
but also it just seems so hollow. Like I guess is the other aspect of it, in terms of entertainment. Like if I feel like when I think of game shows, I think they all have no soul. Like whereas a lot of TV, I mean, and not even just creative TV, but like good documentary. I mean, it's like I feel like someone's passion is there, but I never feel that from a game show. I feel like there are fans and I'm watching them be excited, but yet I'm just like, this is just garbage. Like I really feel like they're just mechanisms to fill a slot on TV, and they're a cheap and effective way to do that. And so that's how I feel. Like I feel like it's TV with just hollow dead TV.
But it is fun to do game. Like let's say you go out Friday night with your friends. It doesn't have to be to save the universe. It could just be for drinks, and there could just be a set of darts there, and so you guys play a game of darts, and that's a fun thing to do while you're socializing.
I'm not saying games aren't fun. Games are fun.
But what I'm saying is that the show is
watching people play games on
is
TV is less fun.
The show is not everyone has people to go out with maybe on the Friday night, and they'd like to. It's a program that apparently people really do enjoy it. I think it gets a lot of eyeballs. You still think it's stupid though, right?
People like games. It's true. And like Mike would say that too. He enjoys playing games and stuff like that. People like games. It's a known fact. And when people are shitting on video games and other things, I'm just like, if I framed this conversation in a different context, you would probably, like video games. People get prejudiced about different things, and game shows is definitely. I can understand because I have issue right now. There's a big culture of watching people play video games, and I don't necessarily understand it because they're so accessible to play. I do understand game shows to a certain extent because there are big cash prizes that are given out, and so like you can't necessarily replicate it. The stakes, you need a bunch of people to play. But I did have video games when I was a kid. I had a CGA like 4-color version on my PC XD of both Family Feud, Jeopardy, and Wheel of Fortune. They've been around that long, and I had game versions. And me and my brothers would play. You pass the keyboard, we would be playing those games because at their core, that's what they are. They're games, and so it's just. I agree with Mike. Like, there's no like creative imagination behind them other than that you've got like a blasé looking host. I don't know if there's some sort of criteria for the host to look as blasé and checked out as possible.
I think
But
I think you can buck that trend. There was a great. I think it's called 21. You know Carlton from Fresh Prince. You ever wonder what he's up to now? He had a long stint on the Game Show Network as a game show host. He was pretty good. He was pretty.
I get, yeah, and maybe, but like most of the big ones, like Pat Sajak looks like he's
Alfonso.
2 steps away from the golf course at any given time.
Sure.
But
Better watch out, Crofton. If Trebek gets a hold of this, you don't want to get on that guy's bad side.
Yeah, no, he'll hurt you. But I just think that like they're sort of not a celebration of games, but they are like a collective group of millions of people watching and interacting with a game. This is becoming more prevalent in the video game space and stuff like that and online. But game shows were kind of like a precursor to that. You know, you're sitting on the couch, you're yelling out answers, you know, with your family. And yeah, like somewhat creatively hollow. But at the same point, like, it's just fun and games, really. Like, it's not the most must-see thing, but it's kind of like there's an entertainment value there. Some are more entertaining than others. Mike's leaning towards Jeopardy. Others might lean towards something else. Like, I can understand the appeal. I don't watch them anymore.
I would agree with Mike on this one side, which is that, like, lots of television, as it's come, like lots of this mass communication via television, it has to appeal to a wide variety of audiences, which means that it can have its traditions and its jargon, but it has to be very accessible. Therefore, blow. Like, I mean, they've got to be really vanilla.
Right.
Yeah, so it is like Price is Right is when you reduce it all down to, you know, it's nuts and bolts. It's how much does this thing cost? And whoever guesses the closest wins.
But it is the worst one that way. But they're all bad. Like when you even Wheel of Fortune, it's like the prizes on Wheel of Fortune are a huge component of that show. You know, they go on. It's like the brand recognition of a certain car. Like that's product placement and always has been, and that's part of how those things function. And maybe that's not bad, and maybe that's a more entertaining way to have those, to be exposed to those things. But it's funny because I was thinking in my head, because I'm getting pretty close to verdicts. I don't want to out myself right now.
No,
but
if you're close, you're close. It's not
I got more to say though. So
okay,
go.
So I'll just say this now, because I was thinking, you know, so when you guys were talking and trying to, you know, claw out some positives out of this trash that's on TV, I was thinking, is like, are they the worst thing on TV? Because I think of the bad verdict. Are they the worst thing on TV? And then I was thinking, okay, what's the worst thing on TV? Infomercials. And then I was like, you know, they're like a stone's throw from infomercials. And sometimes
I think you're just cherry picking a couple of shows.
Yes, well, no, it's the opposite. Cherry picking. I would cherry pick out Jeopardy is one that I actually think has some merit, but most of them I think not. And even the ones that aren't all product placement, like Family Feud, I feel like it's almost like watching an infomercial in that it's hollow, soulless, boring, a filler on TV. But yet it's not even telling you about the product. Some of those ones, they're just a waste of time. And I feel like at best they're the second worst thing on TV.
I don't even think so.
Really, Jersey Shore is better than a game show.
I think
Jersey Shore is better than a game show.
Hey, well, reality TV, okay, yeah.
So you got types of reality TV. You got Jerry Springer and all that. You got Judge Judy and all the judge shows.
Judge Judy is awesome, and so is
got,
People's
like,
Court.
You touched this.
You got like Duck Dynasty. You got like all this stuff. I don't think some of those daytime talk shows, like for me watching people.
You might be right, and I should say I haven't watched TV really in years now, like network TV, so I'm a bit probably out of touch, because those are all very good points and make me think, oh yeah, okay, there's definitely
there's no bottom to the TV. Depths that of depravity TV will.
There's some bad TV. Yeah.
There's some bad TV for sure, but the thing that I keep getting back to, like the game playing, is like, yes, the thing that bothers me the most is the shilling. Not that I've ever been influenced by the prizes on Wheel of Fortune or anything like that, but The Price is Right is the worst offender, and then there's others. But like, you know, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which was a huge sensation. and Jeopardy and other quiz shows and stuff like that are I consider like they're fairly entertaining, and they're not like there's no advertisement necessarily being shoved down your throat other than the actual commercials on the show. Now, on the other hand, Bo made an interesting point, I thought, which is about the generalization of these things, which is the more people you're trying to reach, the more general you go. And like Bo's doing his next Jeopardy thing, which is focused on a niche game. So the people that like it a lot, but there's just
It
a
also
select
has
group.
bizarre rules that are quasi insider at this point. If
Yeah,
you
well, yeah, exactly.
yeah.
You're being the more niche you are. It's like if you read a comic in the newspaper, like Peanuts or something, or Garfield. It's like anybody who has a cat who can relate. It's not really funny. Maybe it's like a little smile worthy for everybody. But the more niche you are with your comedy, the more funny it's going to be to a smaller group. Well, like when categories come up on Jeopardy, when I see them, like sometimes I'll be like, I have zero interest in this. And if all those categories were always ones I had zero interest in, like it was like archaeological relics of the 1800s is the category or something like that, I would never watch it. I would have no interest in it, right? Like, but when there's a category on Jeopardy, for instance, that comes up and I'm like, and it's like, video games of the 1990s, I immediately I'm like, oh, I perk up and I'm really into it. So the more niche the
How
show,
often does that happen? You must have to watch for years on end before you
but
get
there's
that gem.
I'm using it as an example of like there's different categories that could potentially interest me, trigger my Cliff Clavin, if you will. And there's entire shows that are more likely, like especially the shows that are based on topics or whatever. When a question is asked on Family Feud, it might be a question I don't really care about, but sometimes it's like, oh, this is really interesting or funny or whatever. I'm not saying it's a win-win all the time, and you're absolutely right about the soulness of it. And it's 0 calories. Like it's like there's no nutritional value from a game show, but it's not necessarily toxic either. If only we had a verdict that reflected that somehow.
All right, you ready to give verdicts on the subject of game shows?
I think I am.
Because as much as I feel like you guys have been pretty hard, well, Crofton not so much. Crofton's been a fairly
I've been the game
Hard
show
on game show. Oh,
defender.
poor game shows.
but game shows are pretty good. But let's bring in the farm animals, and let's see what we have to say officially. Here they come.
I say, order in the court.
Order in the court. All right, it's verdict time, and who wants to take the first crack at the game show? Do we want to?
Crofton outed himself, so he should just.
I'll just roll through. Look, I have a lot of fond memories watching game shows with my friends and family. I also there's a lot of game shows that I have enjoyed. Some it's related to nostalgia. Some I still enjoy, or like some through social media moments. Like I'll be like, oh, here's a clip from Jeopardy or whatever, and I still will enjoy. Like if I had TV, which I don't, and Jeopardy was on, I for sure would watch it. That's like Mike. That's would be one of my choices. But there's other shows that I've enjoyed, and a lot of memories that I've had. I think games are fun. I like that these shows are essentially a celebration of adults playing games to a certain extent. I do like that. However, there's a lot of shows that are totally crappy. There's a lot of artificial suspense, a lot of playing with people's emotions, and they're really 0 calories. Like they're really like there's no redeeming value. Yes, you may learn something from Jeopardy, but you're probably not going to remember it. It's like it's one clue and then you're on to the next thing or whatever. You can learn things from other shows. It's possible, I guess, but for the most part, you're not going to. You're just going to have like a fairly good time watching other people play games. Maybe you'll play on the couch at home, yada, yada, yada. So 0 calories, not toxic necessarily. There's some with heavy advertising. I get that. But in the end, not really that great, not really that bad, just there. I'd say they're bullshit. Game shows are bullshit.
Wow. Yeah. The good thing about game shows is if a contestant's taking too long, you can call time on them.
Screw you, Bo.
Mike, you go next. I want to cap this off with on a positive note.
Whoa. Who hosted the show? Was
Yeah,
it
it was
Bo?
Bo.
Oh, damn
Bo,
it!
you go next. Mike will
I'm
go
barred.
last.
I have to follow
Sweet.
the game show
End on a
rules.
sour note.
All right, we failed to mention so many great shows. I don't know, like, you guys ever watch Win Ben Stein's Money? That's a good
No,
game
see,
show.
what you said was wrong. You failed to win on great shows. There are no great game shows. There are at best not terrible ones.
Oh my God. Okay, so there's
And Ben Stein's
Win
Money.
Ben Stein's
Yeah.
Money. You know, Are You Smarter Than Fifth Grader was actually pretty good, and I kind of enjoyed watching that. I think I'm a big fan of game shows. Actually, I think they're a lot of fun. I used to watch a ton of The Price is Right, and that's what made me kind of like numbers, was that wheel. Anyway, I think game shows are exactly what we described it. They're fairly benign. They're fairly vanilla, but I like games, and games are games, and they do provide a lot of entertainment. I definitely don't like the more modern approach, not just to game shows, but to, you know, a lot of reality TV style genres where they make false hype. I mean, technically, I think it isn't, but like Hell's Kitchen, is that a game show? Like, they're competing, but it's like serious, so I guess it doesn't count. But that whole style of building up hype, whether it's reality or an actual game show, I don't like. I like the old school game shows. The, hey, I'm Chuck Berry or whatever, and we're gonna play a game of $25,000 Pyramid. To name drop another great show I used to watch. Anyways, I think game shows are a lot of fun. I don't think they cause much harm. Yes, there's product placement, but I'm not going to fault game shows for that. I think there's a soft spot in my heart for game shows, and I'm going to give the game show a verdict of good. I enjoy them very much. Also, I also just want to quickly mention, too, that while we were doing the show, I actually had a little video window open, and it's Burt Reynolds, Lonnie Anderson, Alan Thicke playing Win, Lose, or Draw, and it's amazing. It's all like, it's really funny. It's just on silent. I'm just watching them be 80s people, and it's fantastic. What an era. What an age.
Get ready for the full spread here, folks. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, so I see. I'm glad, Bo, that you've enjoyed your wasted hours watching game shows, and I think, you know, Crofton, you probably gave the I would say the correct verdict. But this whole time, I've been trying to find ways to justify how to give this bad, because I don't like them, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's TV. It's Crofton says they're not toxic, and I'm like, most TV is not toxic. It's frivolous or it's trashy. Is it toxic? I don't know. And generally these days I'm leaning towards TV. Basically, if it's not something you're actively enjoying or learning something from, why are you watching it, is what I think of. And this comes from person I've watched a lot of TV and a lot of game shows. And I think if I think about that, and I'm glad Bo has this sort of nostalgia of enjoying those times, I think of that as fucking wasted time. I think of that, if I can think of myself as a young person in my 20s at 11 o'clock in the morning, sitting on my couch, watching an old man ask someone how much Clorox costs, and I've been sitting there watching this, I'm like, that's bad. That is bad. And or watching a bunch of idiots who are related to each other guess at random statistics someone made up, me being like, I think this, when I could have been doing anything else, I think is bad.
All right,
it wasn't that hard in the end for me to justify calling them bad, because I feel like they are a waste of life, a waste of space, which TV is largely. There's a lot of great stuff on TV, and you can seek it out. And game shows ain't one of those things. Game shows, if they didn't exist, and it's so bad because, like, Jeopardy is kind of good, and if it was just Jeopardy, I would have a different. But there's so much garbage in there, and we're lumping them all together that no, they're bad. Game shows are bad.
All right. There's like 15 different spots where we could have queued up the bad. You're like, they're bad. I mean, they're bad.
Well,
it's bad.
And often Crofton has said this kind of thing is for advice, where it's like, listen to your heart when you're giving a verdict, or like you really. And I was like, as much as my rational self wanted to give it a bullshit because it seemed like it made sense, I was like, no, I really hate them. That's why we have
That's
bad.
absolutely. I gave base a bad on this show. Like, it's totally. If you have a guttural response, you gotta go with it.
I did.
All right. Well, if you're having a response of some kind in your gut, and you want to send it to us on the subject of game shows or any other topic we've discussed, or let's face it, anything you want, email us at goodbadbull@gmail.com. We'll read your letter on the show and discuss it. If you're listening to the show, don't know where to find out more about the show, you can find out about it at goodbadbull.com. There's links to subscribe to on iTunes and Stitcher. And finally, last but not least, I mean, there's links to Twitter, links to Facebook, all that stuff's on the goodbadbull.com site. Visit that place. But finally, if you like the show a lot and say, hey, these guys deserve $1 or $2 a month, for all the pleasure that they've bestowed upon me. Pleasure don't come cheap. So, anyways, if you want to help us pay to help the show hosted and all that, we do have a Patreon page where you can support the show. That's at patreon.com/goodbadbull. And, we want to thank the people who are currently our patrons. They're great people, and we're very grateful to all of them, especially my mom, who we haven't talked about in a little while. So I just want to say she's still up there as a top donor. And if you'd like to, do better than my mom in donations, that might spur her to support more money, which would be great. So do that. I'm trying to create, this is a game show. I'm trying to create a sense of competition. I'm terrible at this.
I guess that's why I have this bad feeling of I need to change the channel right now.
Wait, there's a commercial for Men's Speed Stick by Menon coming on in a second. By Menon. All right. Anyways, that's the skinny on the show. If you want to find out more about what Mike's up to, Mike, where can our people find you?
Being a sourpuss on Twitter at ML Hodgins.
All
and
right.
Actually, it's not even true because I don't tweet much.
There it is. And if our listeners want to find out more about what Crofton's up to, tell them the deal.
Well, if they want to tell me how much they hate November, then they can reach me at Crofton Steers on Twitter, where I will be tweeting about how awful November is.
Great. Yeah. November's fine. Are you hating Movember or November? By the way, follow me at Bo Schwartz. Continue your thought.
Oh, yeah, at Bo Schwartz. Movember, geez, another reason why I hate November.
I
It just
hate
keeps getting
Movember.
worse.
I think Movember. I mean, every month is a mustache month. Just wear it with pride.
Or every month isn't a mustache month is probably the better.
I've never actually had just the mustache, but in theory, I have the mustache as a component of whatever's going on my face right now.
April and November are like the two transition months in Canada where it's like pretty much garbage all the time, except the difference is that April, you're heading towards things coming alive, where November, you're heading towards things dying.
Oh, man, I love winter. Don't hate on winter.
No, well,
the
I'm
snow's
not,
coming down. Nothing makes me happier.
Aren't
than
you
this.
into, like,
That's fine.
skiing,
when
man?
the snow is down, that's great. I'm glad for that. But in the meantime, you got to deal with freezing rain and sleet.
Okay, before we crop on...
There, the cops are
on-
coming for you, Crofton. You
on
hear the
November,
sirens?
just
Here they
because
come. They're coming.
I've last thought about game shows that I wanted to mention. So Jeopardy kept coming up as like, okay, I like me some Jeopardy. I've watched them. I learned some stuff. But even that's stupid. You know what's so frustrating about Jeopardy? Where it'll be like 16th century composers for 500. And then I'm like, I see a topic like that. I'm like, I got no clue. And I'm always shocked how often the people competing, at least one of them knows these random things. I'm very impressed. Like Crofton, like I get quite a few questions, but not as much as pretty much any of the contestants on that show. I give them credit. But then you get 16th century composers for 500 or whatever, and then someone will say, I can't even make one up because I don't know anyone. Like Beethoven. And then Alex Trebek will be like, "Ooh, I'm sorry, that's correct, but you didn't say what is, because this is a stupid game show, and you know."
Yeah,
the
but the answer
and
you're actually
I know
answering
you know it,
with a
but
question.
you're still wrong because
You're
you didn't say what
actually
is.
answering with a question. You're being given the answer. Technically, you're picking the answer. The thing you read is the
it's just
answer.
a backwards. You're still giving an answer, which is you're giving the part which is withheld.
That's the whole
one
charm of the
Rockcroft's
show, is that it's
punch.
backwards.
Trebek right in his face,
What is
mustachioed face.
liberal nerd rage, Alex?
Losers. You mean losers.
There, Bo, I gave you a spot to cut the show. You're welcome.
No, you're welcome. Wait, you did? All right. I'm
Yeah,
sure I'll forget where that is. I have like 8 spots to cut the show. Man, the connection was pretty bad.
Yeah, I think it's me. Like, and it's funny because
No,
I actually
it's
have
a bit of me too because my shit fell out, and I don't feel confident about what happened on my end either today. So just one of those.
Definitely you guys, yeah.
been
For sure.
raining and
You need to support us
stuff.
on Patreon, listeners, and that way you get me some new sweet computers.
You guys are the worst.
No, no they're not.
Question.
All right, just before you
Livestream.
ask the question,
Buy live stream.
live stream. Thank you for
buy
watching the
live
VOD. If
stream.
you're a VOD watcher, if you're a VOD person, and till next time, ta-ta.
Okay.